Alright guys, so today we are going to do what we did the other day, which is finding slope between 2 points. So this is the same paper that you guys have, and I'm going to do a couple of these with you just to remind you in case you forgot what we did on Friday. So I'm going to start by up here, just hopefully you can see this. This is the slope formula, y2 minus y1, and on the bottom of our fraction you take x2 minus x1. So like I said, I always label my points. Remember, every point has an x and a y. Sorry, my handwriting is really bad on the computer. This one also has an x and a y. So since this was my first point right here, I'm going to put little ones by it. Since this was my second point right here, I'm going to put little twos by it. All right, and now I'm just going to fill this into the formula and figure out what my slope is. So first thing I want is y2, which we labeled 6. I'm going to put a minus sign. Then I want y1, which is 1, divided by x2 right here is 7, minus x1 right here is 9. So now I just have to take the top and subtract. What's 6 minus 1? That is 5. And I need to take the bottom and subtract. 7 minus 9 is negative 2. So I'm just going to leave it just like that. If you divided the two numbers and you got a decimal, you should just leave it a fraction. So the slope that I'm going to do is negative 5 over 2. Sorry, my handwriting is so bad. I'm going to do this next one with you again because there are a lot of negatives involved, and I want you to be sure of how to do the negative ones too. So remember, every time you have an x and a y in each point, and then the first point you'd put little ones by, and the second point you'd put little twos by. And now I'm going to plug it into that formula I wrote over there on the left. First I want y2, which is negative 8. You always have to write a minus sign no matter what. And then I also want y1, which is negative 4. It looks kind of weird with those two negatives right there, but I'll tell you what to do with them in just a second. Next I want x2, which is negative 2, minus, you always use a minus sign because that's what they used in your formula. And then I want x1, which is negative 3. So when you have two negative signs that sit right next to each other like that, it's actually like it's a positive. So I'm going to change these to big positive signs. It means you're actually adding the two things together. And now we can simplify that. If I take negative 8 plus 4, you have more negatives than you do positives, so it's still going to be a negative. And if I think of it like money, if I spent $8 and then someone handed me $4, I still am negative $4. On the bottom, I have more positives than negatives. On the negative side, I have 2, and on the positive side, I have 3. So I actually have more positives than negatives, which means this is going to be positive. So what is 3 minus 2, or negative 2 plus 3? That's just 1. And this simplifies to negative 4. So anytime you guys have two negatives that sit right next to each other, that actually makes it a positive. Let's try one more of those. I'm going to set this up for you. X, Y. Here's x and y. This is 1. This is x and y 2. All right, and same thing here. y2 is negative 9. You always use a minus sign. y1 is negative 6. That's what I'm talking about. When you have two negatives that sit right next to each other like that, it actually is a positive. And then 8 minus negative 4. So like I said, when you have two negatives that sit right next to each other like that, it becomes a big positive sign. Negative 9 plus 6, you can type this right into your calculator, is negative 3. And 8 plus 4 is 12. This one does actually reduce to negative 1/4, so I'm going to leave it like that. All right, so I want you guys to do the rest of these on your own. I did 3 of them with you. You can go back and look and see how I did those. Here's the back page. We want to change this into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So basically what we want to do is we want to solve this equation for y. We want to get y by itself. So I'm going to do a couple of these with you. Take 2 times x. That's 2x. Take 2 times negative 15. That's negative 30. And then it still equals negative 3y. the way I get y all by itself, I can't have a negative 3 sitting in front of it. So I'm going to divide everything, every single number that I have, by negative 3. So that's just going to stay right here. The first one is just going to be a fraction, negative 2/3. But the second one, a negative divided by a negative is actually a positive, and 30 divided by 3 is 10, and that equals y. You could write it like y equals negative 2/3 x, that should have an x by it, I forgot that right there, plus 10, and that's typically how people in math will write these. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do on number 2 is I'm going to multiply 3 times 12 is 36. So I have 9y equals 36, and I'm going to put it over 2, plus, what's 3 times 5? That's 15x over 2. I need to take all of these numbers and divide them by 9. So what I'm going to do is actually take 36 divided by 2 first. I get 18, so I've got 9y. I want to actually divide that. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Sorry, my handwriting's so bad. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So my very last step is I want to divide every number I have by what is right in front of y, which is this right here. So I know that 18 divided by 9 is 2. You're just solving for y. You want to get y all by itself. 7.5 divided by 9 is 0.83x. It's not that beautiful, but that's our answer. So on this side, I want you guys to just try some of these. I really want you to focus on the other side and doing the slopes today, but I want you to try some of these to see how you do. That means you actually have to try. Don't just say you tried and put this away. Try some of these, see how you do. Remember, you want to get the y all by itself.